After my review, I'm going to read some of the IMDb reviews from people who actually love this film, so stick around at the end of my review if you want to hear some very interesting perspectives about this really horrible film. The Strangers 2 is directed by Renny Harlin, who directed the Chapter 1, which I didn't actually see, so going into this one was a little confusing. I did read the plot of the first one, so I think I knew what was going on, but do I care? Not really. The film stars Madelaine Petsch, reprising her role as Maya in the first film, who is now in the hospital mourning the death of her fiancé and recovering from the ordeal of the three strangers in masks who tormented them in the cabin in the woods in the first film. The film starts off a lot like Halloween 2, where Jamie Lee Curtis is in the hospital and Michael Myers hunts her down, going from room to room trying to kill her. It's basically the same here, but with three strangers. It's basically what this film is. Maya running from the strangers with cutscenes of a backstory and identity of pinup girl who you can figure out in the first 10 minutes of the film who she is if you're halfway paying attention, based off the "Is Tamara home?" scene in the first film.
Is Tamara here?
No.
I think you have the wrong home.
The identity of Scarecrow is hinted at but never really revealed, and there aren't any clues to who Dollface is, leaving all this up in the air for the next installment that I personally won't be screening. And here's why, and ultimately the reason I walked out of this film. To me, it was really insulting to moviegoers, in my opinion, and horror fans. It was lazy and steals from every other horror film from the past, has no originality, and is some of the worst writing in a film that I've absolutely seen in a long time. So again, I walked out about an hour into the film, and the film is only about an hour and 30 minutes, more or less. The main problem that I had with this film is that it's nothing that I haven't seen before, thousands of times in a horror film. Almost to the point where it could be satire, like Scary Movie. You have the girl running from the strangers in a hospital as Scarecrow rips open a curtain one after the other, trying to find where she's hiding, with her hand over her mouth, trying to silence her own screams. Then she makes a noise accidentally and gives up her hiding spot. Then we see her run into a morgue. We've never seen that before. And there's a sign on the morgue door that says, "Do not enter." Like, do you really need a sign that says, "Do not enter" at the morgue? Can you just keep the door locked? And who is sneaking into morgues anyway? She hides in the morgue and by coincidence hides in the same locker that her dead fiancé is in. I mean, come on. There's so many horror movie tropes like her running in the forest, running in the rain, all while in the hospital gown with no shoes. There's one point where she's picked up in a car with people who may be involved, may not, and jumps out of the car and runs away because of paranoia. And by the way, the radio station in the car is set to that old cliche radio station with a preacher preaching hellfire and damnation. So overused. Then, while in the forest running from the strangers, she's hunted down by a wild boar. A wild boar that tears apart a car that Maya hides in the forest. So two things here. Why is there this random car in the forest? How did it get there? Makes no sense. It's almost like they were trying to give Maya a place to hide, and the director was like, let's just put a car out here. No one's going to ask why it's there. No one cares. And two, a wild boar? You decide that we'll take a break from the strangers hunting her down so she can fight a wild boar? And a really bad-looking CGI boar at that? That's crazy. I walked out about the time where, after walking around the forest, she happens to end up back at the cabin where the events of the first film took place. And I decided at that point that I can't handle the cliches. I gotta take off. I can't handle this insanely lazy writing. It was just too much. The scares are all jump scares that aren't really scary, and the story and plot just isn't interesting. The original film, The Strangers in 2008, that claims it's based on a true story with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman, wasn't that great to begin with, and then they followed it up with The Strangers Pray at Night that was even worse. So I have no idea why this franchise even exists. It's absolutely one of the worst films that I've ever seen. I'm giving The Strangers no stars because if I walk out of a film, I can't give it half a star for being just a movie. There's no participation star here for this film. It's rated R for language, bloody violence, and intense scares that really aren't that intense, honestly. But let's see what some of the IMDb reviewers who love this film have to say. The first one reads, "The public doesn't really know what it wants from The Strangers." Maybe. Renny Harlin has said multiple times he wanted to expand this trilogy to be like an expansion of the 2008 film. However, the first film cannot be replicated. It's a modern classic, and Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman were fantastic in it. So it was understandable when Part 1 tried to recreate it, tweak it, and pass it off as a reboot or remake it that it wouldn't be well received. The bad reviews for this one baffle me though. This is so much better than the first, and it held my attention from beginning to end. Maya's never-ending quest to leave Venus was a lot more compelling to watch than a recycled version than the 2008 classic. Imagining it's Liv Tyler and how it fits perfectly as the actual sequel to the 2008 film, too, is a riveting experience. The original script for Pray at Night had Kristen McKay wake up in a hospital just like this before pivoting to the trailer park setting. The leading actress gives one hell of a performance, and I found myself wondering at what point I should start hating it, but I never did. I'll definitely be looking for Part 3. Watch this movie and make up your own mind. Don't go by what the critics say. I understood half of this review. I don't know what the Venus reference was. Maybe it's because I walked out. Yeah. So the next one reads, "Nope, I'm not ashamed about enjoying this movie. It was entertaining and nonsensical in a fun way that harkens back to OG slasher films. It's exactly what you wish for. If your wish is watching a super resilient and hot AF final girl survive for the plot, I think this whole trilogy is just going to get more and more popular for its fun rewatch value." And the last one, when continuing this franchise, the main goal was to give the Strangers and Tamara a backstory. This movie accomplished that goal. However, I do think the flashbacks could have been all one scene. Overall, the flashbacks were not the main problem with this movie. The main issue was that Maya's problems weren't real final girl issues. The hospital scenes were scary and the morgue scene was intense, especially when she saw Ryan. Everything was going great until she got attacked by a damn pig. After that, all hell broke loose, and killing Pinup Girl and revealing that it was Shelley was a surprise for anyone who didn't watch the first one. Madelaine's acting is outstanding nonetheless, and seeing her back on the screen with Gabriel Basso is so cool, especially after 10 years. Looking forward to Chapter 3, even if it does feature Maya getting chased and beaten up by a squirrel. So now I want to hear what your thoughts on The Strangers Chapter 2 are. Were you able to stomach through the whole film? If you did, you're better than I am. Did you find any redeeming qualities in this movie? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe for more reviews to films hitting theaters. And as always, don't wait till it streams. Let's go to the theater and let's see it together.